What's up, everybody? It's Marco from Digital Dash. Today I'm going to be doing some quick analysis on, well, probably not quick today, but I'm going to be doing some analysis on ES. Got a lot I want to talk about. And it's very interesting times that we're seeing in the market right now. Getting right back into one of the things I wanted to mention was we're back at all-time highs, but this time it feels like we're at all-time highs. It feels like there's a bull run that's starting, or it feels like it's a bull run already. To touch on what I'm talking about, looking back at last year, right before we came into 2024, December 28th, we were back at all-time highs. And I remember saying, I think I even put it in the chat, I'm like, bro, this doesn't feel like we're at all-time highs. This doesn't feel like a bull run, right? And that's what we were seeing. The 28th, the 29th came, and then we started selling off. Ironically enough, we started selling off right after we got up there. So we were making new highs, but it wasn't really an attempt to really show that bulls are stepping in how we are right now. So this is very interesting to note. The price action we're seeing the last 2 days, this is bull run type of price action. This is all-time high type of price action that I like to see. This is the price action where you're like, bro, it's all-time highs. You know, it's a train coming full force. You don't know when it's gonna stop. You don't know where it's gonna stop. You don't know what it's gonna do. So this is starting to look a lot better than how I was looking on December 28th. So that's just something to note. But going back to the monthly, really using the monthly to try to understand what's happening here. One of the biggest things I was struggling with is having that multi time frame correlation and being able to understand what's happening across all the time frames and how it looks, and also understanding the time. Right, I'm looking at a monthly chart, so although there may be a gap here that we're probably gonna want to fill into at some point in time, you know, we could see weeks and weeks and weeks of more bullish price action before we see a pullback starting to come back to this area. That's very possible, right? Because this is the monthly chart that we're looking at. So it's going to take time for that price action to develop and for this story to play out when we're looking at things on the monthly. But I am being aware that, okay, at some point in time when extreme weakness does start to come into the market, then we could probably target that 45 area, right? The first area we're looking to target if extreme weakness does come into the market, being that we did peak above these highs, and we could come back in and target some type of internal area before we look to move higher again, right? And that could happen on a monthly, but here's where we break down to the weekly, and we start to look and see on the weekly, okay, there was another gap here that was pulled into and respected on the weekly. Now let's pull some of these images up now. Now we start to see things like three-day fair value gaps that have been tapped into, weekly fair value gaps that have been tapped into, and that kind of gives us the picture that, okay, price has moved in back to internal, right? Price did pull back into the range, and buyers still showed that they were willing to move price higher. So that gives us a big clue into saying, all right, this is a nice bullish trend, and the bulls are clearly drawing the line in the sand of where they want to operate at. So that takes it, you know, that's the daily. That's the thing on the daily, and that's really all I'm looking for is to see, okay, if we break back down below this 4,700 area on the weekly and we get a weekly close below this at level, and that's also important. That's something I wasn't doing for a very long time, was this is a weekly level, but if I see it close, if I'm trading a 4 hour and I saw the break, I might jump in short, right? And then it's just a 4 hour wick and it turns back around because it never disrespected this weekly key level on the weekly chart. Right now, if I see a weekly bar that closes strong through this level, then now I'm going to say, okay, this weekly level has been broken on the weekly. I'm going to look for sells under this 4,700 level. And my bias is going to flip to sells because the trend is now changing, right? With the trend changing, what am I going to target? I'm going to target those lower gaps in the market that need to be filled. And then I'm going to target things like here, these previous highs. This could act as, could have been old supply that got broken and acted as demand. It could come back and act as support there. And then I'm going to start targeting areas like, the first weekly fair value gap that was left, and zooming back out, that's when we're starting to look and say, okay, yeah, we can pull back into the 45, right? So that's how I'm using that to kind of bring everything together and say, all right, if this does happen, if we do see that change on the weekly first, what can we anticipate to happen to play out on the higher time frames? What is trying to play out on the higher time frames? Because the lower time frames are going to give me clues. So that's what I'm looking for overall. I'm not trying to drag out too long for the week. We got to break down to the daily and understand, all right, what's likely to happen that we can take advantage of in the week now, right? Because I'm a day trader, so day to day is where I'm looking to take advantage of, not necessarily what's playing out on a whole monthly time frame, but I do need to be aware of what's going on. So with that being said, on the weekly, it just gets very clear here. This is the type of trading that I've been waiting for. This is the type of price action that I've been waiting for. Just very clear, very concise, right? We're leaving back daily demand. We haven't seen daily demand in a minute. We're finally getting some, and that's all I'm looking for, right? It's showing us that bulls are here. Whether we get a gap here and then leaves a fair value gap here and price never returns and we continue riding higher, cool. We'll get involved on where we can get involved, but that'll show us at least the intent of the market, and that'll show us that, okay, this bull trend is here, all-time highs are here, we're going to look to continue to make all-time highs, right? With that also being said, all-time highs are tricky. You don't know when the price is going to stop. There's not much price action to the left to work off of, so we're just going based off of momentum and just going based off bias, honestly, right? If it's a bull run, we're just going to be bulls until something clearly smacks us in the face and bears really do something to stop it. They're going to really have to do something. Not on the 1 hour, not on the 30-minute. They really have to do something on the daily chart and on the weekly chart. Really on the weekly chart, because again, that month, it's going to take us too long to get confirmation for the monthly. But really, we do need to see a week where it's really just terrible for the market, right? Terrible for the market. And then, whenever we do get that week, if we do get that break below here and it taps into this gap before it turns back around, then we'll know for sure, all right, this bull trend is still intact. Let's see. Or we'll at least have structure that's created, whether it's supply or bearish gaps in the market that we can look to enter and look to see if they hold, to give us more clues on what price is doing. So that's all I'm looking for, is what zones are being removed and what zones are being created. So yeah, for the week, I'm just looking for price to pull back into the 4,800 area. Really, it could be the 4 hour. It could be this 4 hour demand. I'm tapping into the zone. Could work fine. So we're just gonna see. I'm just, I'm gonna wait until I get my interest signal again. What is my interest signal? Price needs to pull back into this area, right? And that's damn near a 50-point pullback that I need to pull back into this area. So on the lower time frames, it's going to be bearish. So I'm just going to wait for it to get into my area. I'm going to wait for price action to change back to bullish on the lower time frames. I'm going to wait for it to leave behind a gap or demand. Then I'm going to enter. And our first target is going to be back this high. It's going to be back 48.74. We'll have smaller targets based on what the lower time frame presents us, but really, these are kind of those days where it's like, okay, you can kind of not swing for the fences here, but we have momentum on our side. We're at all-time highs. If this thing gets back down to our areas support that we're hoping is going to act as support, we get involved down there. This is one of those things where it's like, okay, we possibly be able to take this to yesterday's high, right? Just looking for that same draw from internal to external. That's all we'd be looking for. This would leave behind external liquidity for us to target once we pull back into this area that we're looking to take, which is internal because we're falling back within a range. And then if we respect that and start getting to move back higher, yeah, that can be our target easy. All right, I ain't gonna lie, it does seem like I'm swinging for the fences, but that makes sense. And then yeah, on the 4 hour, yeah, there's a lot of liquidity down here. I am aware of that, but this is a bull trend, so we should be looking to just leave some of those gaps in the market. Yeah, we should be looking to leave behind some type of gap in the market, but we'll see. We'll see as this week plays out. Hopefully it'll be a good week. If it is bearish, yeah, then we know. We're gonna have to see how price closes below 47.42 on a daily. The thing is, the daily is again, it's easy to get tricked. We've seen it like back here, right? How does this look back here? Right? It looks like things are extremely bullish when you put in that low, just like we put in the low here. When you put in that lower high, and then you break below it, and yeah, it looks extremely bearish on the daily, and you might be able to catch a point, right? If it closes here, and then the next day you short again, and you make more money on the shorts, that's cool. Somebody's winning, right? But it could play out the same way where it closes down below here, and now that we have this low, we definitely want to see this low break as well. And then just close below here, and we think it's bullish. More people, think it's bearish. More people hop in for the sell side, trying to break these lows, and then we squeeze even higher. What I'm expecting and what I'm hoping for, actually, I really don't care. I just need to do something, but it could come into this demand and just go, right? Come right into it and just respect it because of how much momentum and how healthy the trend is. And that'd be cool. But if it does come back down here in next week and it takes some time and it start looking bearish, and the people that are so eager to short all-time highs, they get their opportunity to short, then the next thing I'd be looking for is us tapping into that 4-hour fair value gap and then taking off. This was the start of the reversal. We pushed up, very, very nice bullish candle. Kind of left a gap behind back at what, like 47.63. Came back into that area, never really pushed. Yeah, never really pushed and closed below that area. We held the bottom of this wick. Wicked it on the lower time frames, of course. We got to trick somebody. It was a lower time frame that got tricked in this case, and then started pushing higher. But yeah, man, that's all I'm looking for, is to see some type of continuation. And we're looking a lot better at these highs. There's always the risk that we could turn back around, but the market's not giving us those signs yet. At least for me, I'm not seeing the signs of weakness to really even be looking or even thinking about taking a short position. That's all I got, man. I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and hit that subscribe button.